Hi, my name is Andrew Anžur Clement, and I'm a full-time author of action adventure fiction living in Ljubljana, Slovenia. Hola. If you asked me 10 years ago whether I was going to become a writer, I would have laughed in your face. I was doing my PhD in political science, and I was on my mobility year at the University of Warwick, which is in Coventry, the United Kingdom. And I was the only person on my program there. I knew no one. I was bored out of my mind. And one day I got this idea to tell this story about this girl on a horse who fights by strangling people with a sash, who has to protect this magical gemstone. So one night I just thought, I'm a literate human being with access to a word processing device. So I sat down and I wrote chapter 1. And I thought I'll never do anything with it, but the next night I wrote chapter 2. And by the end of that academic year, I had a trilogy of historical fantasy novels. Then I segued into alternative history, which is taking real history and then asking, what if something different happened? I wrote a series called Tito's Lost Children. Tito secretly named his chosen successor who was never trained, and she and her friends have to go around trying to stop the fighting and keep the country together. From people who contact me to tell me that they've enjoyed something that I wrote, I can tell that, or they want to friend me personally on Facebook, I can tell that the vast majority of them are grandmothers who live at home and like their dogs and cats. These days, that's who has the time to read. Oh, I've probably sold easily over 100,000 if you count all the ebooks. My 39th book is coming out next month, so having a lot of content out there helps.
So what would you say to someone starting out in literature?
Well, someone who's thinking of writing a book, the advice I would give is what's stopping you? I mean, I had no training when I started writing, and I just sat down and I started writing, so you're never going to have a book out there if you don't sit down and start typing.
Where do you find your inspiration in writing?
I first found my inspiration for my first trilogy of books from my favorite novel, which is Henryk Sienkiewicz's In Desert and Wilderness. It's a Polish novel that was published in 1910 about a Polish boy and a British girl who are kidnapped in Africa, and they have to survive and escape their captors. Well, my latest project is called The Back Channel. The premise of it is Ljubljana is like the only place in the world where the Russian, the American, and the German embassies are next-door neighbors in one block. And the main characters are a bunch of teenagers and 20-somethings who live in Ljubljana. Some of them are embassy brats, some of them are salt-of-the-earth Slovenians who live in Moste and Fužine.
So Balkan.
One of them's Albanian. In the first book, they're sent on a quest for the lost gold of King Zog, who was the self-proclaimed king of Albania between the two world wars. Yes, well, one of my series is literally, it's called Tito's Lost Children, is literally an alternative history of the breakup of Yugoslavia. So that took a lot of research, a lot of traveling around to the different locations. Tito's granddaughter is now heading up a secret organization within the EU to help keep the EU together and bring the rest of the Balkans back into the EU so they can once again live together in brotherhood and unity.
That the breakup of Yugoslavia has left something in society here?
I do. I think you see it more when you go to the Balkans, and especially Bosnia, where it's kind of omnipresent, that it's a country that can't agree that it's a country. But in Slovenia, I think you really see society more divided by what went on here in World War II between the partisans and the domobranci, so the home defenders.
Favorite opera house?
La Scala.
What is your favorite dessert?
My favorite dessert is probably potica.
Your favorite country to visit?
Bulgaria, if I'm not in Slovenia. My favorite sport is scuba diving.
What's the last place you scuba dived?
Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. The added benefit of living in Slovenia versus the United States is that you can live way better off a lot less money. And I personally don't like to drive. I live in the city center of Ljubljana, which is car-free, and I haven't driven a car since mid-November, which at this point is like 4 or 5 months ago. And while Slovenian food is good, what a lot of people really eat here is Balkan food, which is really awesome. So cevapcici, pleskavice, šopska solata, and so on. And then there's burek, which is the ultimate Ljubljana and Slovenian fast food, even though it comes from Bosnia. I claimed my citizenship through Ancestry back in 2012. So at the time, I thought I was getting it to move to Poland, but then because of money, I moved to Brussels to do my PhD. And there I met a lot of people from the Balkans who told me, Andrew, you have a Slovenian passport and you don't speak Slovenian, and this is not okay. So I started coming to Ljubljana quite often to learn the language. And 8 going on 9 years later, I'm still here. I absolutely love it here and plan to die here.